So I know with the whole social isolation going on right now, something that popped up on my Instagram feed were dating apps. Oh my goodness, y'all. The amount of dating apps that popped up on my feed, I was like, yo. But then I was like, oh, it's free. And then I had to stop myself. So please, 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 with the social isolation going on, do not feel that you have to be on these dating apps. Danicia, how is God gonna send me the one? If I'm in my house, trust me, I've seen it happen. He will do it. Obviously, like, whenever this social isolation thing is done, like, that doesn't mean that you just need to stay in your house and like not interact with people, not meet people. Of course, I think it's really important to meet people, but because we are isolated right now, do not feel the need that you have to be on these dating apps, especially if you did not receive that from the Lord, if you don't have peace about it, like you just want to do it for the sake of doing it, please don't. This is not the time to be on Tinder, to be on Christian Mingle, to be on, what's the other, Coffee Meets Bagel. It's not the time. It's not the time.
I used to always worry about what people thought of me and would try so hard to live by society's standards. Then I realized that I was created to be different, and regardless of what I did, I would never fit in. So I decided to follow my dreams instead. Join me on this journey as I grow in my faith, go through the ups and downs of pharmacy school, and most importantly, being God's masterpiece.
How do I let go of every hope of getting back together? How do I know that he's not the one? How do I get over my past heartbreak? How do I get over my ex? I just can't seem to get over my ex. How did you get over your ex? How did you get through your heartbreak? I have a lot of questions about dealing with heartbreak. A lot of people have commented on the video that I posted 2 years ago, or is it 2 years ago? A year ago maybe, where I pretty much talked about how God healed my broken heart. And from that video, a lot of you have reached out saying that it has touched you and it has encouraged you, and I'm so happy to hear that, like, so happy, like God is so faithful. But some of you have still asked like how to get over your past heartbreak, and this is kind of like a hard question to answer, considering that like it's different for everyone. And so in this video, I kind of just want to like just go over some of the things that I did, just share some more encouragement. One thing that I want to let you know firsthand is that it's different for everyone, and don't try to compare someone's healing to your healing, because that would just set you up for disappointment. So just trust that God is working on you, and your healing will come in His timing, and you just have to trust that. So as far as like for getting over your ex, I think there's something that I had to realize that I didn't realize at first, or that I didn't want to realize, is that as much as you want to move on, you want to forget about your ex, that's something that you just kind of won't forget. Like, if that person was that influential in your life or made such a huge impact on your life, like, it's going to be really hard to forget the person. Like, they're not just going to disappear from your mind. I know some of us would love that, but they're just not. Because that's what I thought healing looked like for me, was just like I would just forget him and whatever. But I had to have a different perspective and recognize that I'm not going to forget him. However, I can recognize that he and I were not supposed to be together, and the heartbreak was very instrumental in my growth as a person, in my faith, in a whole lot of areas. And so having that perspective really helped me to not focus so much on the fact that like I want to forget him, but recognizing that through all of that came out something beautiful. So that was something that I had to realize. The next thing that I also had to do was to stop fixating on the past. I know it's important to kind of reflect over things that, happened, so that way it can give you a better understanding of, how you can grow, things that you can change in your life, or, even looking at things that you don't want in your future, recognizing, okay, this was something that I was attracted to, but I realized that is not healthy, and so I don't want that in a future relationship. However, do not fixate on like the past memories that you have. Like, oh my gosh, I remember this used to be our song. I remember we used to go to this place like all the time, and then like fixating on that does not help. It does not help whatsoever. What I had to do was realize that, like, you know what, that was the past. And although like our brain loves to just, flood our minds with past memories that were good, we oftentimes forget about the moments that weren't so good. The moments that were just like, that were red flags that we ignored, or the moments where we just knew that this wasn't right. But our brain doesn't remember that stuff. It likes to remember the good things because that makes you want the person more. It's just like, well, we could work because I remember how good things were, realizing that things probably weren't even that great to begin with. Needless to say, it's important to not fixate on past memories. It's important to not focus on what you had. But one of the things that I've really been doing and that really helped me is to just think about my future. If I thought what I had before was good, imagine the blessing that God is going to give me. Like, talk about good, that's going to be exceptional, okay? If it is in God's will for you to be married, then all you need to focus on is fulfilling the purpose and the plan that He has for your life. So you don't need to focus on trying to be married, but instead just focus on what God has for you. And if you're following His direction, marriage will come along if it is in His will. When certain thoughts will come in my mind, or imagination conversations, does that ever happen to any of y'all? Like, you think about like conversations that you could have with that person and you're just like, yeah, I would say this, I would say that. But yeah, I used to have a lot of imagination conversations where I would be like, oh yeah, and I would say this, and not even like anything bad, but just like genuine like conversation. I'd stop that. And one of the ways that I stopped that was to cancel those thoughts. So when that thought would come in my mind, I would have to sing a song. One of the songs that I would sing was Oceans. I'd be like, Spirit, lead me where my trust is without borders. Like, I just would say that line and like just cancel that thought. And that really helped. And also something that I've been doing that has been so helpful and so good is focusing on my relationship with God. I found that when I just focus on serving Him, when I focus on, serving more in my church, being more involved, building that community that I desired so badly in a church, and now that I finally have it, I realized that those thoughts of my ex were less and less and less. Like, I got to a point where I was just like, oh wow, I did not think about this person for like weeks. Like, what? And it's just so beautiful that when you just, give it to God, you don't put a timeline on it. Like, you begin to realize how much you just grow in your faith, and how much you just grow as a person, and recognize that like you didn't need that person, to survive. You didn't need that person to grow. You didn't need that person to be who God has made you to be. You didn't need that person to be God's masterpiece. And when you start to realize that, you will be more focused on the plans and the desires that God has for your life, instead of focusing on, that person or, that relationship ending. But you'll realize that there's like a greater purpose. There's like greater things in store for you than being in a relationship with that person. And when I began to be more involved in my church, when I began to, be hungrier for God and just grow in my faith, my desire to be with that person did not trump my desire to be with God. And the more I desired to be with God, the more I desired to learn more about Him. is the more I didn't think about my ex and didn't think about wanting to, you know, have that relationship anymore. Like, God will do it. And another thing that I would say is don't fixate on the time. I like hindered my healing so much by telling myself, okay, in a month, I need to be over this. In 2 months, I need to be over this. In 3 months, I need to be over this. It's been a whole year. Why am I not over this? And all that did was set up unrealistic expectations. And that made me believe that this healing thing was on my timeline and it wasn't on God's. I was so focused on trying to heal, and I had to realize that I just need to be focused on the purpose that God has for my life, and the healing will take place along that path. You know what I mean? So that was something that really helped me. And I said this in my last video, and I'm gonna say it again. Do not follow the person on social media. Like, it doesn't help. It honestly just gives you updates on the person. They're gonna cross your mind more often. You're gonna have dreams more often. Like, if you constantly are checking up on them on social media, if you follow them, it makes it much more difficult. I'm not saying like you should unfollow because, you know, you're trying to be spiteful or petty, but it's for your good. And if you don't want to unfollow, Instagram has this new feature. You can mute the person so that way you do not have to see them pop up on your newsfeed. However, I will say though, depending on your self-control, you might still like check their social media. And that was the issue that I had, is that I was constantly checking. So it may be better to just block or just unfriend, but I would definitely encourage to cut off that access to social media. I would also say, like, in order to get over your ex, don't feel like you need to be in a relationship. A lot of times it can be hard. I had received the email and, you know, someone pretty much mentioned how their ex moved on and they couldn't understand how their ex moved on so fast. Was that a reflection of the relationship, that they didn't even love me, and all these different things? And that's hard. That's super hard, to have to be in love with someone and then the relationship ends and then they're in another relationship. And honestly, you can't focus on that person's relationship because you don't know. You don't know what's happening. You don't know how it formed. You don't know the status of it. And I'm not saying that you should wish anything bad on that relationship, but all I'm saying is that you just don't know. And this is why I think it's important to just focus on God. He has good things planned for us and it's gonna be beautiful. So you have to just trust that if it's in His will, it'll happen when it's supposed to happen, and it'll just blow your mind at how God will just orchestrate the whole thing. So I know it's hard to have to see someone that you love be with someone else, but my encouragement to you is to make your desire for God be stronger than your desire to be with this person. I just wanted to make this quick video to kind of just talk about that, because I know it's hard and a lot of people have asked me about it and they've been like, how did you get through this? And it takes time, and don't put a time limit on it. Don't limit God. Allow Him to do it in His timing, how He wants to do it, and trust that He has amazing things planned for you. Like, that's the biggest thing where I'm at right now. It's just like, God has amazing things planned for me, and it's gonna be beautiful. Like, y'all, it's gonna be lit. Okay? So, yeah. So y'all already know the deal. You can comment below or you can email me at behismasterpiece@gmail.com. Go out, be kind, be caring, be loving, and as always, be His masterpiece.